how do you know the difference between not being a vibrational match or not in alignment with something, and that's why it's not manifesting your reality?
Give it to us again.
How do you know the difference between not being a vibrational match or not being in alignment with something, and that's why it's not manifesting in your reality?
Well, that's always
And
true. Those things are saying the same thing.
I know. And conversely, being in alignment with what you want and not having it in your experience this red hot minute because of timing issues. Because
timing is only about alignment.
In other words, talked about how you plant seeds in the ground. You can't, like when the little shoots start coming up, you can't tug on them and make them grow into ripe tomatoes immediately. You know that it's going to be X number of days between germination and ripe fruit. So you don't worry about it in that period of time. You can relax and enjoy the time it takes for the fruit to manifest. Or Jerry and Esther are going down the highway. They're going from Phoenix to San Diego. They know it's 400 miles. They know how long it takes to travel 400 miles. What if they plopped out of the sky, landed who knows where, and even with Magellan telling them where to go, they don't know how far away they are. They don't have any idea how long it's going to take them to get there. It would be a much more stressful journey.
We agree.
How do you know the difference between being out of alignment with something and just needing to let time go by?
But here's the thing that we would like to... Let's say that Jerry and Esther plopped out of the sky and did not know where they were. Let's say that they didn't have a Magellan. They're just somewhere in relationship to where they want to be. And what we're saying is they could make that journey quantifiable by following the path thoughts that feel the best, and they would move in the right direction. When Jerry and Esther first began receiving Abraham, there were friends in Phoenix who were coming to Jerry and Esther's house and having Abraham chats frequently. And one night, the four of them hatched an idea that they would go get lost somewhere in Phoenix, and Jerry and Esther would come and find them. And it was literally a game of where does it feel like they are. They had no map. They had no sense. And so Jerry and Esther, and Esther was not receiving us verbally. At that time, she was still receiving us through the typewriter. And so their agreement with us was that we would just point in the direction of them. And so Esther relaxed and followed the point. And they came to an intersection, and we would point. And they came to another intersection, and we would point. In other words, they were following what felt like the way to go. And they came to a place, and we said, here. And they looked around, and their friends were not there. Very frustrating for Jerry and Esther. How could Abraham get it wrong? So off we went again. This way, this way, this way, here. Again, their friends were not there. Very frustrating for Jerry and Esther. They're on their second tank of gas now. But they had agreed no one would go home until either the sun came up or they had found them. And then they found them. And Esther said, first we went to the dumpster behind the Mountain Shadows Resort. And they said, we were there. And they said, and then we went to the Denny's restaurant over on such and such a street. And they said, we were there. In other words, Jerry and Esther were clearly on their path. They were feeling the vibration of what they were reaching for. And what we are saying to you is you will get to the place where you will always be able to feel the direction of that which is your goal. Every goal will be quantifiable in time.
But my question really is more about time. Is there a time frame? So
the time is about the resistance that is involved. And so even in the tomato analogy, the tomato cannot become what you want it to be faster than your expectation. It's like the 4-minute mile.
If you were in complete alignment with having fresh, ripe tomatoes, that tomato would be there.
Yes.
Even if you planted them yesterday.
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Because the timing, the amount of time that elapses between where I am and where I want to be. You see, you didn't just decide that you wanted anything just now. You've been launching those intentions all along. So your future, your vibrational escrow is full of all of these potential manifestations. And the amount of time that lapses between where you are now and your receiving of the manifestation of them is only about the amount of time that elapses before you become a vibrational match to what you're asking for. So when you say, I want a tomato, Jerry and Esther, it's funny that you're talking about tomatoes, because Jerry and Esther love tomatoes and had not had wonderful tomatoes for a while, and they have had delightful tomatoes for dinner every night for 10 or 12 nights in a row, because everywhere they go, some restaurant has just received. The other night they had tomatoes. Jerry said, where did these tomatoes come from? And the restaurant owner said, well, they're not local, because our local tomatoes are very green and hard right now. And Jerry said, well, wherever did you find these? And he said, Holland. We fly them in every week. They are grown in water without soil, hydroponically. And Esther said, and they came for us. In other words, she knew. They've been planning on being at Luciano's. They've had it written in their calendar for weeks and weeks and weeks, and the universe just made sure that when they got there, the tomatoes were there. Jerry and Esther didn't have to plant them. They just had to want them, you see. And that's true of everything. When you want it and you are not vibrationally in opposition to what you want, the universe in all of its resources will yield it to you. It's this feeling that I've got to do it myself. I've got to dig the hole. I've got to put the seed in the ground. I've got to tend to it. I've got to water it. I've got to do all the work, and then I get the credit for it. I get the blame for what goes wrong and the credit for what goes right. And we say, morph yourself into the greater scheme of things and take the worthiness that is yours, and let the fairies of the universe assist you, and stop taking so much responsibility up on yourself, and live happily ever after, and shorten that crevasse between where you are and where you want to be on every subject to now. Ride the wave. Just pluck the fruit. In other words, you don't have to be the one that puts it in the ground anymore. You can just skip across the top of things and pluck the fruit of all of the things you want. Oh, orgasm. Oh, food. Oh, delicious this, delicious this, delicious this, delicious this. In other words, it's all right there for you, ready for you to receive it as fast and as soon as you will vibrationally let it in. Yes.
Thank you.
One of our friends said earlier, and a phrase that just caught my attention, and I want to expand on it. He talked about the wanting to know that anything is possible. And after that I wrote, and the knowing it is not only possible, but inevitable. And one of the questions you asked me earlier is this, getting into the hot seat. And expectation, yes, but it's the knowing of it being a sure thing.
Right.
So
replace the word probability or possibility with certainty.
With certainty. And so really, the balance we're trying, at least from my perspective, the balance we're trying to strike is moving between the knowing that it's possible to knowing that it's inevitable. And so I'm hoping that you can kind of move us...
Or that it is. That it exists as a vibrational creation, a vibrational reality, and therefore it isn't absent, it is present. And in the knowledge of its presence, you achieve a grid that allows the momentum to reveal itself to you in more specific ways.
So it's the grid of the sure thing.
That was so good.
Say it again.
When you accept the isness of the vibrational reality, and therefore you feel no ripple within you about the absence of the manifested reality, in your knowledge of its doneness, of its isness, in your knowing that it is done, there's an absence of resistance that allows the momentum then to reveal itself to you in all of those delicious ways.
And non-physical knows that all the time.
Non-physical is standing there with the isness of what you've been asking for, reveling in it, appreciating the creation of it, acknowledging your relationship with the creation of it, watching for every opportunity to give you a glimpse of your creation and to revel with you in what you have accomplished.
So our ability to get to that reverie and revelry is the point through which the point that our grid fills in with what we're looking for, correct?
That's exactly right. But how do you get there? What is your focus? How do you get out of the way? Because you just said it's inevitable. We just said it's certain. So what's the holdup? If it's certain, if it's inevitable, then what is the timing of it about?
The perfection of the universe filling the grid in.
Well, the universe will fill the grid in, but this is your grid. What part do you play in it? What are you going to do to allow your grid to be filled in now?
Feel the way Source feels about it.
Yeah. And what are you going to do in order to feel the way Source feels about it? What are the obvious things that you got to stop doing?
Right.
Noticing that it isn't done.
Right.
So it's like we're saying to you, if you could not care about the manifestation, then the manifestation would happen. But your concern about the manifestation and your awareness that the manifestation hasn't happened yet causes you to offer a vibration of the absence of what you want that prevents it from flowing.
Right.
So what are you going to do about that?
Get happy.
Yeah. Go general. You're going to go general. You're going to get off the specifics and therefore off the specific absence and into the presence of something that already exists. And the presence of what already exists is satisfaction about a lot of things, appreciation for a lot of things, knowledge about the laws of the universe. There's so much that you know that when you focus upon it with deliberate intent, that when you focus upon it, then you activate a vibration that allows it to fill in. One of our favorite experiences in an audience setting like this, there is a young woman who came frequently and often, because of the intensity of her desire and her expectation, ended up in the hot seat. And the majority of the time that she talked to us, she wanted to have a baby, 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 wanted to have a baby. And when she would be called forward, people who had been there before knew what she was going to talk about, because that's what she wanted. And finally, as some time passed, she announced to everyone, "I'm 4 months pregnant." And it was startling for most who were watching to see how different she seemed. Now, she still doesn't have this baby to take to the park like she is looking forward to. She's not feeding the baby or teaching the baby or talking to the baby in the way that she one day will. But in her pregnancy, not yet manifested in the way she wants it, there was no longer absence of baby.
Right.
So if we could just help you to know that your vortex is pregnant. There is no absence of anything that you want, but there is a gestation period that you want to occur. And that gestation period is about your readiness. It's about the preparation. It's about the physical preparation for, in other words, she didn't want the consciousness of that child to come forth before the fetus was ready to explore and experience. And in a similar way, so many of the things that people are asking for, they have not yet prepared the environment for the very thing that they're asking for. And you do that by no longer doing that thing you do that slows it down and keeps you from doing it.
Right.
That was a bit of a long way around that, but pretty satisfying to us.
Me too.
Clear enough?
Very clear. Thank you very much.
Yes, indeed.